you gotta love the rejection.
Okay.
You gotta say, I'm gonna be rejected.
So you gotta embrace it before it happens?
That's correct.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Dobson and welcome to part one of my chat with Mark Hunter. Mark Hunter is the founder and CEO of Kokea Dreams, a company that puts together one-of-a-kind, tailored life experiences. Let's go. Hi Mark, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate your time.
Yes, it's great to finally be here.
Please let us know your name, your role, and what you're working on.
Yeah, so the name is Mark Hunter. I'm the CEO and founder of Kokea Dreams. It's a company where I put together very unique, one-of-a-kind life experiences through travel, dining, automotive, fashion, sports, adventure, mindfulness, and eco-volunteering.
How did you come up with the idea of offering these tailored packages to the super wealthy?
Well, for the past 10 years, I've been in the residential and commercial automation space, dealing with the millionaires and billionaires of the world. And the biggest complaint they had was the amount of time it took to actually put together these experiences that they go on. And the travel agents are at that point of only really caring about your air, your hotel, and your car. And what we do at Kokea is we are a full-service travel concierge.
Okay.
So while you're away, you will have somebody right beside you. If a restaurant is booked up, we will find a way to get you in there. We have contacts all over the world, globally.
And is someone literally with them the entire time, or are they sort of figuratively there because they're a call away?
So most of our experiences, we have somebody physically with the people.
Oh, really? Okay. How long did it take from you having this idea to actually having someone booking a tailored experience with yourself?
Yeah, so over the past 5 years, I really initially started the company as of this year.
So it sounds like initially this was an idea, you worked on it, conceptualized it for the past 4 or 5 years, you built up your network, you built up kind of, I guess, a Rolodex of people that you might think would be interested in these types of tailored vacations.
Yes.
And then for the last year, you've really put the idea forth, started executing on it, and getting clientele booked in.
Yes, that's correct. And going further, I've really only scratched the surface when it comes to Kokea. I know there's definitely a niche for this type of business, and and I'm going to do my utmost to make this work.
Now, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster of big ups and probably even bigger downs.
Yeah.
What's the lowest you've ever felt? Paint us a picture of that moment.
Well, like a lot of entrepreneurs, they've had their failed businesses. I myself have had a fair amount of failed businesses. I think what it comes down to, and Les Brown, being a very world-renowned motivational speaker, has a saying, he probably got it from someone else earlier in his life. If you can look up, you can get up. So if you get knocked down, as long as you can look up, you can get up.
Interesting saying.
Yeah.
And it sounds like some of your lowest moments have been with failures that you've encountered in the past, but you've gotten up from those, and you've always kept going, and now you're starting Kokea, and this is a new chapter. So I guess the takeaway there is always get up, regardless of how low you might feel. Yeah. Always get up and keep moving.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me, I'm a very positive, uplifting person, because in order, it all comes down to attitude is everything.
I was going to say, how did you stay persistent in those moments? And it sounds like a lot of it has to do with attitude and positivity and just thinking, you know what, maybe this wasn't the right thing for me, but I will make it work on the next opportunity. Now, as someone that's regularly pitching your services to clients, I'm sure you've experienced your fair amount of rejection. How do you deal with rejection?
I think when it all comes down to rejection, you gotta love the rejection.
Okay.
You gotta say, I'm gonna be rejected.
So you got to embrace it before it happens.
That's correct. You have to say, okay, I'm gonna go up to this person, I'm gonna meet with this person, I'm gonna put together this one of a kind life experience, and they're gonna say, it's out of my price range, it's not what I'm looking for, but what's going to make us successful is the conversations that we have before we put these life experiences together.
And it sounds like some of those conversations are maybe with yourself as well, mentally, to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
What's the lowest you felt, though, being rejected, and how did you get over that ensuing self-doubt? Because I'm sure there's been some moments where you felt low as a result, regardless of how much mental preparation you did.
When it comes to rejection, all you can say is, okay, well, as long as you're learning something from every single rejection, that's the takeaway you can have.
That's an interesting way.
But I think what it all comes down to is, it's not going to kill you in the end. That person might have rejected you. There's other people that are out there.
I like that positivity. So first, you gotta embrace the rejection, and when it happens, you gotta think, well, there's other opportunities, and you know what? That's okay. There's other things for me to go out there and pursue, and not let it bog you down.
That's correct. That's correct. You can't have your vision fogged by somebody saying, oh, I don't like your service. There's always going to be haters out there.
Yeah, and it's difficult once you get trapped under that sort of self-doubt or fear of rejection. It's hard to get out from underneath it. So this is a great positive way of thinking about it. Just like whatever happens, I'm going to keep going forward.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to brush it off, and you have to say, okay, well, not everyone's going to love your product or love your service, but there are always going to be other people out there. But it's what you can take away. And for me, like, you have to somewhat accept and love the failure. Because
as much as you love success.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, entrepreneurs talk a lot about the constant hustle that's required to get their business off the ground. And given this is your first full-time year at Kokea, what's that hustle look like for you?
Well, when it all comes down to the same beggar or the president, they still have 24 hours. So you sleep 6, you have 18 hours to hustle. I don't believe that you should be doing 18 hours a day. As long as you're moving towards your goals at the end of the day.
Okay, now let's take a step back and I guess shift to your background. So where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in North York, Toronto, Ontario. I wouldn't say I grew up poor. I didn't have a lot of sort of the fortunates that other people had. Like, I lived in a very, very humble home. Father wasn't there most of the time. My mother was sort of the sole person that was looking after both me and my sister. I was deathly shy, and it's very interesting to say that nowadays. But it's I used to do the newspaper, and I never used to collect the money.
Really? So you just did the job?
I just did the job and didn't collect any of the money because I was too shy to go to the customers' doors. After a while, I kind of got out of that, and then from there went on to and being deathly shy. If there's anybody out there, I would definitely suggest they work in a grocery store setting.
Is that what you did to kind of get more comfortable speaking with
so
people?
I worked in a grocery store for a fair amount of years when I was a teenager, on top of selling and buying hockey cards. That was a big thing when I was younger, as well as buying and selling shoes. I'm what you consider sort of a small scale sneakerhead.
Okay.
And as well as got into the other flip side is that I got into I wouldn't say a fair amount of trouble, but I was mixed in with the wrong people. Around a life of drugs when I was younger, probably from like 16 to like 20 something. Took business administration management at college. Great course. I really didn't like high school. High school wasn't really of interest to me, but when it came to college, I was very, very interested. Did that, and then came out. Started my life as a recruiter.
This is you were at a talent recruitment agency, correct? Called CQ Search, I believe.
Yeah. So CQ Search was a company that was started by two gentlemen that were at an original company that I started with, and then I changed over to them at that time. Just to get out of that mold of being very deathly shy. I was handed a phone book, and they said start calling people.
Cold calling people.
So I did that for off and on. I've done that for 20 something years. It's definitely taught me some things I love, which is crazy. A lot of people don't think about this. I loved cold call.
Okay, that's interesting, especially from the fact that you were not, very comfortable speaking with people as a child.
That's correct. So it definitely taught me how to break out of my mold, similar to the grocery store setting, because the grocery store setting was great. You were talking to a receptionist 1 hour, and then you're talking to a CEO the next hour. So that helped me out, as well as the recruiting, and then from the recruiting, just kind of had my taste of consumer packaged goods. Worked in the sales side of it, as well as the printing side of it, and then went on to the residential and commercial automation side of it.
Right.
So when I started the residential and commercial automation, coming from the humble beginnings that I had, my family had no contacts. So I actually built what I've built by myself. As a business owner, not everyone's going to love your product or your service. But there's always going to be someone down the road that will like it, right?
Yeah.
And for you to give up just before it's getting better,